must be the world-famous Melanie.
Oh, I'm world famous.
How are you?
Okay.
Tell us why you're here today. Come on, we want to recruit more ladies, so we got to show more ladies. Come on. You'll have some company. Why are you here today?
For the NYCA picnic.
Okay, and this is what, once a year event?
When was the last one? It was like a barbecue.
Last summer.
Last summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's your relationship to the chief cook and bottle washer of NYC?
I am his girlfriend.
Okay. How long have you been going out with Phil?
9 months.
And how did you get into the plane spotting first, or did you get that from Phil?
I always kind of liked planes, but I never really knew how much until I started dating Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell us, what you're getting out of the hobby. Why you like to do this?
It's exciting. It's like a chase. It's a form of art. I don't know. It's just fun.
I'm Shoshana.
Hi.
How are you?
How long have you been spotting planes?
I haven't spotted planes ever. I'm just a wife.
Supposing there's a nice single lady out there watching this, would this be a good place to meet a guy?
Possibly. All the good ones are taken, though.
We're standing here in East Elmhurst, Queens, at the end of runway 22 of LaGuardia Airport, and we're talking to Phil Durner. How are you, Phil?
I'm good. Yourself?
Okay. Now, you are in charge of the group that makes a hobby of coming here to LaGuardia. And what's the name of your group?
I run a website called NYC Aviation.
Right.
It just kind of a local headquarters for the local aviation enthusiasts in the New York City area. It's a hobby that's practiced all throughout Europe, and it's growing in popularity in the United States. And yeah, this is the New York contingency.
And what do you call the hobby?
Just call it plane spotting, I guess, or aviation enthusiasm. And there's so many different ways to practice the hobby. Some people are aviation photographers. Some people like to note the registrations of aircraft, and just there's so many different ways. Some people just follow the industry, and hopefully people that follow the industry like that feel that our site caters to them.
Okay. Now, a few years ago, there was a motion picture called Train Spotters, and obviously that would be the terrestrial equivalent of what you guys are doing. How long has train spotting been around? Do you have any idea? And when did the hobby become translated into aviation?
I'm really not too sure about that. I know a lot of the guys who were into the planes started off as trains. I started off with being a subway enthusiast, and then I kind of graduated into planes. It is very similar. Plane spotting really started back in World War II. In Europe, people were learning how to identify aircraft, to identify whether there was attacks coming in from the enemy. So that's really how it started, and after that people just kept on watching the skies, and it developed into a hobby. And then through the jet age, and as the airline industry started to grow, and this is what happened.
Okay. Now, we just had a little visit a few minutes ago from the local precinct of the New York City Police Department, and of course it would be something somewhat understandable given the tensions that are going on in the world today. Can you tell us what exactly that's all about, the police interest with us?
Well, I can understand people not understanding the hobby. I mean, I think that kind of comes with the territory when you're standing near an airport and you have a camera with long lens and you're aiming them at the planes. I mean, that's understandable. So I can understand people's concerns, and they often call the police, and the police will come and they ask us questions. I have no problem with them being here. They come by. I probably would be a little concerned if they never showed up. And usually they're very friendly. They might check our ID, make sure we're not on any watch lists, make sure we have no warrants, tell us have a nice day, and they go away. Sometimes the tensions get a little high, and it's a little bit because the officers don't even know too much about the hobby sometimes, so they're even a little confused as to why we're out here. And but it's a part of the hobby, and a lot of people, we've grown used to it over the years. So
now, recently you had a nice little write-up in the New York Times. I would imagine you would carry that article around with you to show to the police.
Yeah, I do. One thing I carry in my bag, and I urge all guys to carry around, is sometimes some of us get professional work. I mean, I'm lucky enough to do a bit of professional photography work and running the website and doing random things like that. But I urge all the guys to carry their IDs on them, any examples of their published work. I have some magazines. I do keep the New York Times article on me. We get some good press every now and then, in various newspapers and news agencies across the country every now and again. So anytime I can carry something along to show the police, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we're out here, it's business for some, hobby for others, and it helps, inform and educate.
Now, what was the genesis of that New York Times article? How did they get in touch with you and interested in doing it?
The writer for the article just found the website, sent me an email, said I'm interested in doing this, and just like you're here today, I mean, we actually did this at the same location here at Plainview Park, and same thing, I mean, it's not the first time. Hopefully, it won't be the last. So we've done a couple articles for a couple organizations and stuff. So.
Here we are talking with
John Mussolino.
Okay, John, and tell us a little of your history as a plane spotter.
Well, I've really kind of grew up around aviation. My father worked for TWA. I flew in the Air Force, and I've always kind of combined photography and aviation. So this is just one more extension of it, getting out on a nice day with some friends and watching some airplanes and taking some pictures.
Tell us about the Air Force. When were you in?
I was in the mid-'80s. I flew KC-135 tankers.
What's your name?
My name is Tom.
And how long you been doing plane spotting?
I guess I could say pretty much all my life. Got into the photography thing a little bit more than a year ago, but I've always been fascinated by aviation.
Okay. You live near the airport?
Not near LaGuardia, actually, right near Islip MacArthur, right in Suffolk County.
Okay. And how often do you come down to Plainview Park?
It's been a while since I've been to Plainview, I guess just because of the seasons. The seasons play a big part in spotting Plainview during the summer. It's really only good in the morning, where we'll go over to the World's Fair Marina is usually a little bit more favorable in the summer.
Right, okay. And how many pictures do you have of airplanes?
Oh, God. Literally thousands. I don't have an exact number.
And what do you do with them? You have a website?
Most of them get spotlighted on Phil's website, nycaviation.com. Okay. There's also a couple other websites, jetphotos.net and airliners.net, that I spotlight some of my pictures on as well.
And you're using what kind of camera today?
It's a Canon. It's a Canon Rebel 300D. Okay. With
digital, of course.
Digital with the Spotter's Choice lens.
And what is that lens?
It's pretty much a spotter's choice, the Canon 100 to 400 millimeter.
Okay.
It's image stabilized. It's Canon's L lens.
Right.
So it's their top of the line glass.
Right.
And it's pretty much every reputable spotter has one.
Yeah, sure. Here we are right at the water's edge at Queens's McNeil Park, located in beautiful College Point, and we're talking with one of the members of the Plane Spotters, and your name is?
Mario Craig.
And tell us a little bit about, your history as a plane spotter. When did you get started? First of all, what do you do for a living?
For a living, what I do is I practice optometry out in Long Island. For about a half an hour from here, I have an office.
Okay. And tell us about the interest in the hobby here.
Ever since I was very young, I was thinking about getting into the aviation business. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but at the same point, I love doing photography, and one of the more challenging aspects of photography is aviation photography.
Okay, now tell us a little about this location. What's the significance of McNeil Park as far as plane spotting goes?
Actually, this is a great place just to kind of sit, even if you're not spotting. Even if you're not taking photos, it's a great place to sit, get a view of the city skyline, and see planes on approach. You got the boats on the water. It's just a great place that you can actually hang out and spend with your family and really enjoy a lot of different aspects.
Right now.
That looks like a United Airways Saab. Yeah, Saab.
And it just took off, of course, from?
Let's see, 22, runway 22.
Yeah, but what airport? For most of our viewers who are not experts.
LaGuardia's airport on runway 22.
Okay. And how often can we expect a takeoff? Of course, today's Sunday. So.
Actually, I mean, usually on a Sunday, yeah, every 4 or 5 minutes, but on a weekday, if I come here tomorrow around 5 o'clock, yeah, every minute there's something going. You just see them line up.
Right.
Landing and taking off, you just see them line up.
Right. And where did you say you lived?
On Long Island.
Right. And do you ever go over by Kennedy to do any plane spotting?
Yeah, I actually grew up by Kennedy. I grew up by Kennedy, and on the weekends my father would take me when I was younger, go take off, watch the Concorde take off, watch other airplanes take off, usually on the weekends. So kind of like a family outing like this, but we would watch planes instead.
Of course, the Concorde is no more.
Correct.
Now, I understand you have a little bit of an association with the Concorde as far as what?
Well, I flew on it. One of the last few flights I did fly on. I actually collect any sort of memorabilia. I do have a pair of Concorde seats in my home. It was probably the first piece of furniture we had for the house. I'm part of a group of people that helped rebuild one of the Concordes that is in display right now in London.
Right. And of course, for newcomers to plane spotting, what was the Concorde?
It was probably the fastest. Well, it was definitely the fastest, but it was obviously the most beautiful aircraft up there.
Right. But how fast?
We were going at about 1370 miles per hour.
And that's somewhat faster than what?
Somewhat faster than my wife lets me drive.
Great answer. No, but I mean, for the people that are not experts, what was there unusual about the Concorde that no other plane carrying passengers today does?
Mach 2.
Yeah, right. But what is Mach 2? You're talking too technical. These are folks that are watching this don't know Mach 2. From Mark Twain.
It's twice the speed of sound. This thing went twice the speed of sound.
Right. Now, what is the speed of sound at sea level, roughly?
777, depending on the atmosphere.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, when we say we're going Mach 1, we're going...
About 770 miles per hour.
Right. Now, who was Mach?
Ernest Mach. I think he was Austrian.
Right.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys that came up with the Mach numbers and the speed of sound.
Okay.
Old physicist, I believe.
Okay. And you were flying about Mach 2 into the Concorde?
Mach 2, about 1370 was what I remember us peaking at, yes.
Now, do you have any sensation of high speed when you're in the Concorde?
The sensation was really on takeoff. I mean, the takeoff is completely different from any other aircraft. An aircraft, as soon as it leaves the ground, it's smooth. On Concorde, it was nothing but rough, kind of like you're on a rocket. But
Is that before you lift it off or during the roll?
it's actually during the roll, and as soon as you're into the air, you're kind of rough and tumble the entire way up. It's just you're feeling yourself being pushed along quite a bit.
Now, why is that? The tremendous thrust?
Absolute tremendous thrust. You're going on full afterburners the entire time. By the time you leave the runway, you're still going. You're just touched 250 miles per hour.
Why LaGuardia and why not JFK? I understand there's a Rockaway Boulevard, a similar approach where you can get close. How come you focus more on what we consider a secondary airport in New York?
Well, the locations for Kennedy are not as close as you have right here. I mean, we're over here, it's, plain view, little grass, highway, and then runway. And it's a little bit closer. I mean, this is my own home airport. I live across the water. And I just think it's a little bit better, especially this time of day, depending on what runways they're using. Certain runways are used not as often as others, and the configuration they're using right now is a little more unique for photographs. So,
okay, how many runways are there at LaGuardia?
There's 2 runways, in each of them going in either direction. This one is runway 4/22. Right. They're departing on runway 22 right now. There's also runway 1331, which is closed today for construction.
How many pictures have you taken of airplanes in your lifetime, would you say?
A little over 30,000, I'd say.
Right.
A little over 30,000.
Now, does this come out of some, when you were young, fantasy or experience that you had growing up, your love of this hobby?
It's weird, I was one of those kids that liked looking at construction vehicles, a police car would zoom past the house and I'd run to the window and I'd watch it, that's just a boyhood thing that I think is very common. And I grew up near LaGuardia, so nothing I was watching were the planes, and before I even knew that there was a hobby of plane spotting, I was sitting at my 3rd floor apartment window with binoculars looking at the planes and taking out books from the library and studying a little bit about planes, and I kind of forgot about it after I was like 8 or 9. But I'd always look at the sky a little bit, and one day I looked online and I saw another aviation site, a photography site, and I started seeing all these photos taken from inside LaGuardia looking across the water to my house, and it completely reignited it for me, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I had all these questions. I started studying a lot more. This is all like in my late teens, and I just got more and more into it, and eventually to what I do today.
And we're talking with a gentleman named Alan Gross. And what's this about this T-shirt? What do you have to do with the Goodyear blimp?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had a passion for the Goodyear blimp since 1964, when the 2 Goodyear blimps, which were the only blimps in the entire world, landed right here in Queens. They used Flushing Airport as a base for the New York World's Fair in 1964 and 1965, and 1 Goodyear blimp returned to Flushing Airport every year since then up until 1976. And I got to know the staff, the pilots, the crew, and became one of them, like a family member. And so I've been involved with the Goodyear blimp now for 42 years.
Right. Now, for those of us that don't know, where was Flushing Airport? Obviously, it was in Flushing, but specifically related to either the roads or the commercial establishments around the area there.
Flushing Airport is actually not in Flushing, it's in College Point.
Okay.
And it's just to the west of the Whitestone Expressway. If you want to find the old Flushing Airport, you'd have to look in back at the New York Times printing plant right off the Whitestone Expressway, between Linden Place and 20th Avenue.
It was right across the street from the old Adventurers Inn, was it not?
Oh, we used to go there a lot to get our meals when I was working. I actually did work for the Goodyear blimp for many years, and that's where we would go for lunches.
The Comair regional jet, CRJ 200. Okay. Pretty popular here at LaGuardia.
Now, can you identify them without looking by the sound?
No, not by the sound. I worked for United for 17 years, and for the last 3 years I've been working for a charter company out in Farmingdale. Right. We deal in business jets. So 20 years of doing this, I know what they are, but I still can't tell them all by hearing.
What is it about this hobby that has so much appeal to you?
I guess it's been in my life for so long. My father worked for United for 39 years. I kind of picked up the baton after he left. And my brother, he's a mechanic for JetBlue, so it's been in our life, so we just love being around him.
Can you do me a favor, actually? Can you see if anyone's down the stairs? Thank you, Mel. Mel? Thank you all for coming. This is like our biggest little outdoor event that we've had. We got about 35 people or so. So thank you all. Everyone contributed. Tommy helped out a lot. Moose came early, helped carry some stuff. Mel did a lot of stuff with the maps and the flyers and everything like that. Real helpful. Everyone, almost everyone here's contributed somehow. So thank you again. The site's been real busy lately. We were in the New York Times last month, as a lot of you saw. Been getting in the press a little bit. Good things too. Nothing too bad. Haven't been looked at as too nerdy or a threat of terror or anything like that. So that's pretty good. I want you guys to know that later on in the year we're going to be coming out with a site similar to NYC Aviation. It's going to be a national site. Don't know the name yet. It might be AmericanSpotter.com or various things. Just like NYC Aviation, all the spotting maps and tools and resources and all that stuff, but just on a national level. It's going to be just like you all around the country and all the major airports, all the major cities, everything like that. I'm going to need your help with that. Anyone who wants to volunteer for stuff, various things. And it's really great. So Mel and I, we spent a lot of time on the site. There's a lot of costs that go on, or a lot of costs involved. A lot of time that we put in, and it's only going to get busier. So not that we're hurting or anything, but to try to raise a little money for some of the parties and events that we have that hopefully you guys enjoy. We're going to have a raffle. Have a whole bunch of tickets here. We've got 10 different prize packages, posters, postcards, and other things, some clothing items and stuff like that. A whole bunch of stuff here. So there's 10 different packages. In order to get a raffle ticket, it's a minimum of $3. You can only buy one per group. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for helping out, coming out. A lot of new faces. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. And anyone up for a raffle who wants a ticket?
Tell us a little about your son's hobby and when you first became aware that he was a spy in the aviation industry.
Well, since he was very small, we had an excellent view of the airport. He used to climb on the radiator knob, look out the window, watch the airplanes land, set up little airports in his room. was always into it. Loved planes, had collections. And just continued with the photography, articles, writing, and I'm very proud of him. I love him, and he's always been a good kid on top of it.
What can you say to anybody that's watching this over QPTV? Do you think you would encourage them to take up the hobby?
Of course. There's a lot of things out there, and this is just one more thing to get into, and it's refreshing, and not only that, I think it's good security. While you got these guys out there watching everything, if something happened, I think they'll be the ones to tell you.
I'm Nora Marino, Democrat for State Senate, and you're watching YouTube.com.